Oh man, I don't know why it does that every time. Invites sent. What's up, Justin? Got your sticker out, man. Hope you like it. Did you get the light ring, John? Did you get your little light ring?
No, I am using my kid's
Surefire
desk lamp.
6P. Oh, yeah, you should use a Surefire 6P. How about that?
I found a Surefire 9P in the drawer.
Ooh, boom. Look at that. Cool guy lighting. I don't know what Eric's doing.
I think he's starting a Facebook link
Yeah,
before he joins.
that's what he's doing. That's what I meant. And got a wave there, wave there. Oh, Pop Smoochio. I am looking forward to getting that book into your hands, man. If you're into that whole little space, I think you will really enjoy it. This kind of fits in nicely with some of that too. Hey, real quick, while we're waiting on, I already sent the invite for that. While we're waiting on him, quick update. The knife, check it. Oh yeah, yeah. Thanks to everyone so far who has, tagged a whole bunch of people, helped me with a whole bunch of follows. I don't think we're gonna make 400 by Sunday, so it doesn't look like the it doesn't look like the cup is gonna make it into the whole thing. So we'll see. But keep it up. Yeah, I already sent you the invite, cuz. But whoever wins it, I think you'll like it. John, why don't you tell everybody how bad you want this thing?
I'm sure they've seen it in my dozens and dozens and dozens of tags in the giveaway link.
I sent you
And
two
I may or may
invites.
not
There
already
he
be
is.
in direct communication with the one that
Uh,
made it, just in
uh,
case I don't win. So
well, you know what? Contingencies are always a thing, you know? Gotta have a pace. Gotta have a pace plan. Uh, it says he's trying to get in there. Anyways, are you still there, John?
I'm here.
Well, while we're waiting on him to load up, because he's in there, how about we get started with kind of some of this topic? And for anybody that's listening, my allergies have been killing me today. They've completely attacked me, full assault mode, and I'm dying on the inside just doing this. So I'll try not to sniffle a whole lot. Um, there you are. Did you figure out?
I'm
Did you
here.
figure it out?
Sorry.
You still there? He froze. Uh, so hey, tonight we're going to talk about assault pistol versus patrol pistol. Uh, I've got a quick definition. It's just a couple of bullet points for them. John, you tell me if you agree. What do you think? So, assault pistol. I have here a Staccato C2. The way that we typically define assault pistol, which is a term we kind of got from Chuck Pressburg, is accurate, super accurate gun, capable of headshots at 25 yards. I don't know what that thing is in the deal there. Real tight tolerances, and more often than not, typically end up being single action. Something that a type of pistol that is capable of more than your typical off the shelf type of gun. Patrol pistol, something more like this, striker fired, or even simpler with just iron sights, maybe add a lights, high capacity, polymer framed, uh, mediocre accuracy, right? Just like standard Combat accurate. I know Eric loves that term. Uh, ultra reliable. You pull the trigger, they're going to fire at 99.9% of the time, which again typically ends up being some form of striker fire. Do you guys agree with that?
So I would say that an assault pistol would favor performance, maybe at the expense of additional
Yeah.
maintenance, versus patrol pistol, lower maintenance at the expense of maybe a little bit of performance.
Somebody asked about assault pistols being automatic. No, automatic as in like you pull the trigger and continuous hose of bullets comes out. Pull the trigger one time and it continues to fire. That's not what we're talking about.
So Clay, I was talking to some guys earlier. Uh, for the people who are not using patrol or assault pistols, you could sub. I think you could do a real good job of substituting like EDC and gamer pistol. And like when we start looking at the actual guns, like that's what you see a lot of times the carryover, right? So you've got an EDC gun, you've got a high capacity plastic lightweight gun versus your gamer gun, which is what we're all using when we're holding up assault pistols. It's what a lot of people refer to as their gamer gun for kind of the same reasons, right? So like I'm sacrificing maybe some reliability and more maintenance required for extra performance.
Yeah, I agree with most of that, right? Like you have, if you think of a true gamer gun, I don't know what the divisions are. What's the ones that have like the CZ shadows with the big comps and the frame mounted optics and like the huge brass
Yeah,
magwells that are like this big
yeah.
around. Like that's what I
Yeah, like
picture a gamer gun.
okay, yeah, that's open, but like that is the very very small
Yeah.
minority. Like when I say gamer, I think of like the Instagram tactical guy, right? Like the who's shooting something like well, like my pistol, like an
Sure.
XC, right? So like you go out, you buy a like a ported Walther with a dot, like you got a 5 pound steel frame pistol. I consider that's not an EDC gun.
Right.
It's built just for performance,
Agree.
willing to sacrifice maybe some maintenance issues and weight
Mhm.
to gain that performance. That's what I mean when I say like a
Gotcha.
gamer is kind of the Instagram tactical community.
Yeah, so I think the analogy works because you figure like an assault pistol, something you use on like an assault, right? Like a planned operation that's short in duration, limited exposure to the elements that needs to work at a very high performing level for a very short amount of time, right? Which I think accurately describes like a gamer pistol. So like it's only got to work for how many stages you have that day, and then whatever maintenance you need to do prior to the next match is fine as long as it makes it through that short duration, high intensity
Yeah. Pre-planned
limited exposure
event.
to the
Yeah.
elements that is pre-planned, yeah, versus patrol pistol that's got to be exposed to the elements for long periods of time, no maintenance for long periods of time, would be similar like an EDC gun, right? Something that's going to be collecting pocket lint, be dry, possibly exposed to the elements, sweat, all that stuff, with little maintenance for long periods of time. So I think that analogy actually works fairly well.
Gotcha.
Assault
Yeah.
pistol, gamer pistol, patrol pistol, and EDC style pistol. Yeah.
Yeah. Framed like that. I agree. I agree. Um, I just have a general direction of notes here. So situations. When would you want to use an assault style pistol or a gamer pistol?
Go ahead, John.
Okay. So I definitely favor performance versus maintenance. So my my EDC gun is the Staccato C2, and my actual patrol pistol that I use on patrol is a Staccato P. Um, so anything that's going to take place, basically not in the woods, right? So like anything in civilization, I'm going to favor an assault style pistol because I'm willing to put up with the maintenance. Whereas something that's going to be carried for long periods of time, in environments where it can be more exposed, dirt, mud, that sort of stuff, or I don't have access to the maintenance stuff that I normally have, that's when I would prefer a patrol style pistol.
So you would use it. It's not about the situation itself. It's about your
The
access
environment.
to maintenance
Mhm.
items and
Yeah.
things. Okay.
Yeah, the environment and access to maintenance equipment. Yeah.
But you, Cuz.
So you're so like just to kind of clarify, you would use what we're calling like an assault pistol actually on patrol, like literal patrol, based on the environment. Like you're patrolling in town, largely like you're assuming largely I'm going to be in a car for a lot of the time, and be, like I said, in civilization as opposed to being outdoors in the woods. Like you're not a park ranger.
Yeah, like if I
Right.
don't plan on laying on the ground with a pistol, then I'm going to prefer that assault style pistol. Yeah, because I've had it out at like Reveille Peak Ranch, right, for a week during very high winds where it's getting coated in sand, and it still ran fine. So outside of something where I might be rolling around through mud, generally I'm going to prefer, yeah, the assault style pistol.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So like John and I are going to be in a car together this weekend, and he's going to have his staccato. I'm carrying an M&P. I EDC an M&P, and I'm going to carry an M&P. I've got a staccato that I could carry that I'm not, because I don't like working on guns. Like I don't like cleaning guns. I don't like fiddling with guns. I don't want to do anything. I just want to take it out of the holster and it work, right? Change the batteries in the dot, change the batteries in the light, and just shoot it. If I have to fiddle with it, I don't want it. I'll send it down the road. And so I'll favor the M&P. Like if you get a little bit of rain, like I don't want to have to take it out and clean it. Like whenever I get home in the middle of the night, I just want to take it off and set it, and then pick it back up the next day. So the environment that we're going to be working in is suitable for the gun. But if it rains on us for 3 hours while we're outside, I don't want to have to mess with it. So for me, I'm not willing to sacrifice the maintenance cost of it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I'm in agreement with you for the most part, especially with red dot optics, like entering the chat in the last several years. The performance gap has really been bridged with just that, in my opinion. And so with all the other stuff, and for reference, like I don't think we did this. I don't think we did an intro, but the three of us are all full-time cops, and we all teach at the same place as well. Uh, so the I think that something like this uh, is what I would use on patrol. Even if I mean, I do use it, but if I had the choice to use this, I would still probably use it just simply for the ease of maintenance. Like I've never ever seen this thing choke up. We see, 2,000 people come through a year. They always run. We've seen them caked and completely in rust, and they still shoot. And you got to screw around. You got to mess around so much more with those other guns that
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you there.
And it's all on a sliding scale, right? Like the gun you just picked up, we're an anomaly in that is our standard patrol pistol. You know, for a lot of people, that is the gamer gun, right? And so like it's all kind of on a sliding scale. People look at a gun. Me and John were talking about on the way home. Like there's some really experienced dudes that say if you got a light on your gun and a dot on your gun, that is a gamer gun. Like that is craziness to carry that on patrol. So it's kind of on a sliding
I agree.
scale. Whereas like my XC, I could carry it, but like in USPSA, that's an open division pistol. And
That's
so
that's kind
like that's
of with the definitions. That's kind of why I wanted to like something that's real maintenance heavy, something that's not real maintenance heavy, like uh, because like John doesn't care about the elements. He's going to use the one that has the most performance. So,
yeah.
um,
I will say to your point, Clay. Speaking of red dots and how they did sort of change the game a little bit. So I learned to shoot on a 1911 back in the day. I was a big 1911 guy for a long time. And then then shot the M&P a ton in competition after that. Shot a steel challenge match. Shot 2 steel challenge matches back to back. Exact same stages. The great thing about steel challenge is that it's very much just like standing and shooting, right? Like there's no movement involved. It's all about you and the gun. So it's a really good kind of test bed for different guns because there's nowhere for you to go wrong aside from just the gun handling. So I shot the match with I'd just gotten an STI single stack 9mm that I really liked. Iron sights everywhere I looked. I mean, the iron sights lined up right there. It shot great. Shot the Steel Challenge match with that first. Felt awesome. Felt great. Everything felt spot on. And then shot the same match again a week later. This time using what at the time was my issued pistol. It was M&P 1.0 with an RMR. Shot it, felt sloppy. Like I can see, like that dot told me everything. Felt sloppy. Once all the scores were crunched, even though it felt sloppier, I still shot that stock M&P with a red dot better than basically what was at the top of the iron sighted pistol. Just because the red dot. So that our current patrol pistol with the red dot is still outperforming the iron sighted gamer pistols of just a few years ago.
Derek asked if we've had the assault pistols like go down because of environment. I can compare kind of the two opposite ends of the spectrum. I had so my Staccato XC, I've gone 1,800 rounds, 18 or 1,900 rounds, something like that, without a hiccup. That's in between cleanings. I've got around 5 or 6 on it. In between cleanings, I've gone 18 or 19, and it never malfunctioned, but it started getting real sluggish. So that's just clean it, oil it once, and start shooting. And it went, about 2,000 rounds. The slide started getting real sluggish. That recoil spring's only like 8 pounds or something. So I went ahead and cleaned it and lubed it again. So that's not bad environment. But if you keep them clean
yeah.
and lubed, like it's going to run for a real long time.
If you stay on top of it, right? And I think that's really the key. Personally, is like mine. I didn't clean mine for a long time, and that staccato rep guy, was chewing me out about it, but it still ran fine. And I kind of treated it like a lawnmower there for a little while. But if you stay on top of it, I think you're really not going to have any problems because I know that John's, like he was talking about earlier, John's was covered in that red clay that's pretty common around here in Texas, Central Texas, and you know, never had an issue with it.
Yeah, so mine, I've some of the environments
What's up,
that we've been
Jake?
subjected to. So I've run it in a few running guns where you gotta crawl through the mud and the dirt and all that. And to where it was in a holster, but still it would get stuff. Everything that was exposed would get caught. And as long as it wasn't, I never got an actual piece of mud between the firing pin and the hammer. That I can imagine would probably stop it. The mud never got there, and so it always ran fine. I did some night vision training where we were out in the rain all night. It rained the whole night. And so my gun was in Safari Land duty holster, exposed to the rain, wet all night. It was a 2-hour drive home after training all night. So when I got home, I just left it wet. Went back the next day expecting the worst. To hand it to Staccato, their DLC finish did work. The only little bit of rust was on the steel frame where they had laser engraved the American flag. They laser engraved off the DLC coating. There was some discoloration due to rust in that spot. Everything else was fine. I've got about 20,000 rounds through my two Staccatos. I've got a C2 and a P. The C2, when I first got it to see how it would do, I oiled it and then didn't add any oil, didn't do any cleaning, and just shot it to see what would happen. At round 24, between 2450 and 2500, it had failed to extract. So I went ahead, cleaned it, oiled it back up, and then it was fine. After that, I've had another 8,000 rounds through it. So it went almost 2,500 without even adding oil to it. Now recommended on a Staccato or 2011, it's recommended you clean it every 500 to 1,000 rounds, and as long as you do that, it's
Yeah,
fine.
nobody listens to that. A bunch of nerds.
Yeah. Well, although I will say I did have my Staccato P about the 3,000 round mark. The extractor needed to be tuned. So that is one of the Achilles heels of the 2011. So the two big ones are the extractor, the old internal extractor designed in 1911, and the magazines designed for 38 Super, designed originally for a single stack that they had to adapt to a double stack. So those are kind of the two pitfalls. So the Gen 3 mags on the 2011s are pretty good. I haven't had any mag related issues with those. And the extractor, unfortunately, once you get it tuned, they're fine, but it might take tuning. I've noticed a lot of guns from the factory. Staccato's pretty good, but a lot of guns are not properly tuned from the factory on the extractor. So that is one of the weak points, yeah, as far as maintenance goes.
Yeah, mine's been pretty decent so far. What about yours?
Yeah, I just shoot it. I've cleaned it and lubed it, and that's it. I mean, it's not going to run. So my practice gun at work is the stock M&P, and it's got, after today, I'm up real close to 12,000 rounds, give or take a little bit, and it's never been cleaned or lubed. I took it out of the blue box and started
Yeah.
shooting it 12,000
Yeah.
rounds ago and never touched it. Now, it's not out in the environment, like it's either in a drawer or in a holster on the range. But that is a long time.
Yeah, that's 12
it speaks to
cases of ammo.
yeah, with no lube, it is
Yeah.
real dry. Yeah, never lubed it, never cleaned it, never did anything.
Just raw
to it, started shooting it,
dog
changed
in
out the
that gun,
batteries.
huh? Man.
Yeah. So
Let's talk about mods. What do y'all think? Can mods bridge the gap between, this is just a stock M&P, nothing done to it. Actually, I take that back. Some iron sights. I put some aftermarket iron sights on there because I like the profile better. Can mods bridge the gap between a stock striker fired gun and something like this?
Okay, I'm going to go first because it won't take me as long. Because I know Eric's got some data on this. So I'm going to say, I hate the in-between guns. Love patrol pistols, love assault pistols. I hate the in-between guns. When you take a gun that the reason for its existence in the first place is just to be super simple, no maintenance, and very durable and reliable, and then you start bolting a bunch of aftermarket barrels and comps and recoil springs and triggers, like you're defeating the entire purpose, right? And then at the end of the day, you still have a plastic pistol worth exactly what you paid for the original pistol with $1,000 worth of extra stuff on it. That compromises the reliability. Just the other day, we had a guy with a aftermarket trigger in his Glock, dropped his gun.
I was going to tell the same
discharged.
story.
Yeah, and it discharged. because the aftermarket trigger isn't a reliable trigger. Any trigger that makes a stock Glock trigger good is probably also not drop safe, just based on how that Glock system works. It's probably not drop safe. So like that's a perfect example of taking a gun that the whole purpose is reliability, durability, no maintenance, changing all of that and still not having, an actual like 2011 style gun, not that level of performance. So I hate the in-between pistols. I know Eric's done a lot of research on his in-between pistols though.
Yeah, hit us with that nerd science.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got math. Okay. So this is my in-between pistol. So M&P 2.0, direct milled for an acro with an acro. It's Apex fitted barrel. I don't know what they call them, the gunsmith fit or something.
Tell
I did
us
it
how you fit that
at
barrel.
my desk.
Tell us how you fit that barrel.
I laid it on the corner of my desk with a hand file and kept rasping on it while I talked to you until it fit.
until it
So-
finally seemed to work, because it didn't work.
Yeah.
You just kept filing on it until it seemed
did-
like it worked.
It
Yeah.
didn't a couple times. Now it works though. I
Just
just
kept
kept
filing,
filing. So gunsmith fit. I'm a gunsmith and now it fits. With the, I'm not sure. I think this is a Parker Mountain comp. I'm not sure which comp this is. So Apex barrel and Apex forward set sear aluminum shoe trigger. So that's the in-between gun. And yeah, I think the in-between guns do a really good job of bridging that gap. Now, can they sacrifice some reliability? Yeah. Like you've got to make sure the thing runs, and is drop safe and all that stuff. But I think they give you some advantages. One of which is you're going to have to maintain it, and like I like being able to maintain this, right? So like I can take this apart and scrub it. Like I just hose it out with brake cleaner and then put oil, like scrub it with a toothbrush, oil it and put it back together. Like I can clean this as much as I'm going to clean it, as much as I'm ever going to clean it. I can clean this in like 2 minutes. And it functions the same. Like this is not as high maintenance. Like I can see sunshine through the frame slide area. Like this is like it rattles when you shake it. So it's not going to be as high maintenance. If you can get them reliable, it's not as high maintenance. And it does, I did the math today, it does a really good job of bridging that performance gap. In addition to the fact that no, it's not going to be worth a lot. But like I don't care what they're worth. I've got a pistol that's worth more than the truck that I drive to work every day. But I would carry this one. It's like if I put $1,000 into it and it's only worth $400, I don't care if it's what I want and if it's what works. But they do a good job of bridging the gap. I did a bunch of shooting today in a comparison between stock pistol, in-between pistol.
About it. How do they bridge
Okay.
it? What's the performance gap here? Tell us.
Okay, here we go. All right.
Please tell me you got
So,
a flip chart.
shot-
Oh yeah, here we go.
Oh yeah. So I've got stock M&P. I shot 25 yards, 10 round groups, 25 yards off a rest. So just to evaluate raw mechanical ability of the pistol. Like what is the gun capable of? Then 10 more rounds, I just stepped off the rest and fired 10 offhand. So we know what the gun is capable of, but given the trigger that the gun has, are you able to like exploit whatever advantage that is? Stock M&P.
Back up. I can't see
Uh,
it. Back up. Pull it back a little bit. There you go. Right there.
Right there. Okay. Stock M&P off a rest, 4.31 inch group. So just over a 4-inch group off of a rest. This was offhand 7-inch group. So like you can just see the wobble zone like increase,
Mhm.
right? So everybody's going to have wobble. But if your group size starts at 4.5 inches, the wobble zone, goes up to 7. And then as you're wobbling, you're pressing this really long mushy trigger, and you're moving the gun as you press the trigger. So you've got the movement in the gun from you, and then you got the movement in the gun from pressing the trigger. That is a 64% increase in group size. So group size increases 64% with the stock gun. With the Apex gun, this was off the rest, 2.7-inch group off the rest, and 3.25-inch group offhand. So that's only a 20% increase in group size. So like whatever you're capable of, like whatever the gun can do, the only change is that Apex forward set trigger. So like you remove all of that pre-travel, you give it a crisper trigger, and your group size only increases by 20%. That is real close to the raw mechanical capability of the gun.
Agreed.
You're able to like take what the gun can do and actually like exploit those advantages with the improved trigger. I did the staccato too, so my XC was roughly the same thing. It was a 2.9-inch group and a 3.4-inch group. So increased by 20%. The increase in group size was the same for the Apex trigger as it was for the XC.
You should have just shot like 5 rounds in one ragged hole and said like, yeah, and the XC does this. I think that's pretty valuable, right? Like you drop an aftermarket barrel, something that, or correction, let me say that again. Like you put something that's a drop safe trigger, right? Like a reputable manufacturer in there that has a little bit crisper, because like some of these, both of these that I have are stock. Like this one's better. I don't know if y'all can see that one. This one, M&P, the new ones are better. I didn't think they don't feel any different to me. This is like the older style, like the hinged one. But I shoot this other one a lot better. A lot better. And I don't know what it is that's different, but that single action style, just straight to the rear, short pre-travel, and then real short wall, and then done, does lend itself very well to very accurate shots at distance.
Yeah, so like that very short, crisp trigger, what I found is like you have that wobble zone, right? So like you're at 25 yards, like you're floating around in the black, and you can tell like that would have been a good one. Now I'm around the edges, but that short trigger, it'll let you kind of check it, right? Like, nope, not yet, not that. It's coming back in, and you kind of time it and break it.
Yeah.
But you can't do that when your trigger press is that long. And so like you just have to like, I'm in the black, I'm wobbling in the black, and I press the trigger, and it's going to land somewhere in there.
Is there anybody nearby that we know in Central Texas that could teach people how to press the trigger correctly?
There's a guy. So if you want to go to cornerstoneperformance.org, got some classes coming up.
Yeah, you want to learn to shoot
like
good and stuff. This is the guy.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
So tell me what you think, John and Clay. So I would rank in terms of like if you're going to upgrade, like we're going to start sacrificing some reliability for performance, right? Potentially sacrificing reliability or increasing maintenance, that maintenance time and cost for performance. I would rank them, like if I'm going to start sticking stuff on my gun, the first thing I would do is put a dot on it. I think that gives you the greatest bang for your buck with relatively, if you come to Cornerstone Performance and learn to find the dot, once you learn to find the dot and you keep batteries in it, like that is the best bang for your buck, 100%. I think.
Yep. Agreed.
Like relatively low cost if you'll just learn to find the dot. From there, I would do trigger over anything else. If you can get a reliable, now that's also the part that's most likely to break. We talked about the Glock trigger, right? But if you can get a good trigger that works all the time, I would say that's the most beneficial, because stock trigger, so you have a group size, stock trigger increases your group size by 64%, whereas an improved trigger increases it only by 20%.
Right.
Yeah. So, if you're a new barrel, a really accurate, like that Apex barrel, a really accurate barrel is you're not going to see that advantage with your stock trigger that
Yeah.
increases your group size by 70. You're shrinking it down and blowing it right back up.
If you're trying to
I would
shoot
rather have
small, yeah.
yeah, like if you're trying to kind of bridge that gap, like that's where I would go is dot, then a reliable trigger. That's also potentially the greatest like risk.
Yeah, especially depends on gun type, right? So like on an M&P, you can get away with a lot more. Like with a Glock, you're just stuck. Like with a Glock, the only things you can reliably change is spring weights and the connector. As soon as you get beyond spring weights and the connector, you're compromising the system. And those are all personal because you're not really making it better. For a Glock, you're just making it different, right? So do you want a mushier but lighter pull, or do you want a stiffer but shorter pull? You know, so like you can kind of customize it a little bit, but not actually make it good. But the M&P does just the way the system works. You do have better options. Yeah, so I would rank it the same. Dot number one, way above anything else, and then way down far below. If it can safely be done, then trigger. Yeah.
Where would so I've got two comped guns that both of y'all have shot. Where would you put? How important would a comp be for an assault gun? How important would a comp be to you?
So for me personally, I'm not a big comp shooter. My problem with compensators is very few guns are designed around a compensator. So as soon as you add a compensator, you're robbing energy from the system to actually cycle the gun. So
I'll
you see a
answer
lot.
this real
a lot
simple,
of issues.
right at the very bottom.
Yeah. So yeah, to me, it's too much of a reliability compromise. Now, something with like an XC, at least that was designed around the gun, but even that gun's going to have a smaller operational envelope. So my assault pistol does not have a comp on it. I don't rate it super high.
Yeah, I agree. You know, like the Roland Special is super popular, and Chuck talks about why he wanted a comp to kind of tame down. I don't remember, was he using a 23 at first or a 19?
Yeah, so it was a 19, but they were using NATO pressure
Yeah, it was like
9mm, which is real hot to run submachine guns.
and like one of the big things that I remember him talking about, particularly with maintenance, is you know, you shoot a lot like he does or like we do, and you get a whole bunch of carbon and dirt and you know all the stuff on the lens of your light, and with a comp, depending on where it directs all the stuff, that was a big benefit for him. I remember him saying that on the Roland Special comp that it doesn't have to hardly ever clean his light because it's all going out to the sides and up the top. So
Yeah,
which is kind of a nice little side effect there.
yeah, I can say after having shot the two of them, like whenever I bought the barrel for the M&P for the Procore Patrol pistol, whenever I bought that barrel, I bought it with the intention. After shooting the XC, I bought it with the intention of putting a comp on it.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind they are effective.
Like there are things that I can do with the comp gun that I just can't do without it. So like I guess in my mind, if I'm going to go away from the patrol gun, like I'm going to go all the way. Yeah, John, your staccato is my in-between gun. Right? Like I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way and just I'm going to comp it. If I'm going to do all that, I'll comp it too.
Yeah, I would say that Eric is a man of extremes, you know, like he's like I am not lukewarm. I am hot or I am cold. That is
And yet, whenever you try to pin him down on a position, there's a lot of gray area.
All right.
So I had a quick question.
Go ahead.
If that's
Go ahead.
okay. So I did some numbers today, do some research today too. So My question was, okay, let's take duty pistol or patrol pistol and assault pistol, right? So the two extremes. Where do you actually see a performance enhancement? Like when does the performance enhancement you see actually matter, right? So when we're talking about performance, to define that let's say accuracy, the balance of speed and accuracy is higher with an assault pistol than with a patrol pistol. So you can extrapolate that either way. Like, well, I can be more accurate, or I can be more accurate while maintaining speed, right? So sometimes that doesn't matter, right? So like I did some testing today, like at 10 yards, at speed, it didn't matter. All right, like there was no real performance gap. Even 25 yards, careful shooting, right? So we ran through the Hades drill. For anybody who doesn't know, the Hades drill, it's a 30-round drill. One it's all at 25 yards on a 6-inch box, top half of the A zone on a USPSA target, right? So one round from the ready in 3 seconds, you do it 5 times. One round from the holster in 5 seconds, do that 5 times. From the holster, 5 reload 5 in 20 seconds. All of that, you have plenty of time to be careful on your shot. But then the last one is from the holster, 5 reload 5 in 10 seconds. Okay, that is sporty. Okay, so that is having to shoot accurately, very fast at speed. So I noticed that at 25 yards, when I had time to be careful, so the whole first 20 rounds of that drill, like it was a wash. Like I could shoot just as well with the M&P as I could with the staccato. Where I actually saw a big performance gap was the last part. So from the draw, 5 reload 5 in 10 seconds, where you're having to maintain accuracy at speed. That was where I saw a big performance gap between patrol pistol and assault pistol there. And so for me personally, and I'd like to hear y'all's answers. So for me personally, like up close doesn't really matter. If you have time to be careful, doesn't really matter. But when you need to be accurate fast, the assault pistol, the staccato in my case, it gives it makes it easier to do that quickly. And the errors that you see, so like an error that I would have, like, hey, I flubbed that one trigger press out of these 10. With my staccato, that error might drop it to the bottom half of the A zone at 25, right? Whereas that same error with my M&P might drop it to a C, one even drop to a delta. All right, like that same error that I made. So it gives you more more space for the mistakes aren't as rough on the actual impacts. And so for a situation, super high stress, you're thinking about other things going on, having that extra little latitude to be less than perfect, I find a lot of value in that performance from the assault pistol. That's why I choose it for even like EDC and uniform patrol and all that, just because it gives me more room to do everything less than perfect but still get good results. So I like to hear from you guys. Where do you see the biggest performance gap between the two different pistol types?
I think that if you have if you have situations where it's a no fail shot, right? Like Chuck talks about this quite a bit, and attending his shortened version of no fail pistol last year, I shot my C2, and there were some shots that he was having us do, and he talks about the why and all that in his class. So if you want to go to him, you should. But I found that there were some shots where I was like, man, this is tough with the C2. I couldn't imagine shooting it with that, with my M&P. And so, like, if you are in a line of work and you are allowed to carry such a pistol, and you're willing to put up with the maintenance and all that crap, something like that where real small percentage target is, I would trust that one a lot more than, like Eric was saying, a trigger press that's this long wall and then all this extra movement in between with all the other things going on around you, so something to simplify that process, provided you train with it. It's not a magic button.
Now,
That's
before Eric answers, I would like to remind everyone that he's the only person on Earth that has gotten 2 clean runs on the Hades drill. The only person on
that
Earth,
we know of.
and he
Point.
and he did it with his Staccato XC, and there is no way he would ever be able to do that with an M&P.
Okay, just one point of clarification. I'm not the only person who's ever done it twice. I'm the only person who's ever done it, and also I've done it twice. So that I just want to clarify.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So I did this today. So with all 3 guns, stock gun, the comped M&P Apex gun, and then the XC. I shot like the test, the old Vickers, like 10 rounds at 10 yards. No, I didn't shoot it in 10 seconds. I shot it in like 5.5 for each one of them. There was like a 550, a 540, and a 530 with each gun. The M&P, I shot at 96. So that's just the stock gun.
With this one?
Shot at 96. Yeah, that's with the Apex gun, shot at 99, like in the same time. It's like you can see, like what happens is like that trigger allows you to time it better instead of it's coming back in and I break the shot, and sometimes it's a little early, sometimes it's not. The staccato was 100 and 534. But like, where do you see it? For me, because I'm shooting the comp, anytime recoil is involved, that's where I see it. So even at 10 yards, I could see the difference. Without the comp, I don't think I would have seen the difference between the 2 triggers necessarily. But anytime recoil is involved, like I see a significant, what I'm looking at with a dot is substantially different.
So what about your in between pistol and your assault pistol? When do you
Yeah,
really the main difference between those is going to be trigger, and
yeah,
maybe some better recoil management from the XC. I mean, it is like 5 pounds. So
yeah. It's real heavy.
where do you see the biggest performance difference between those two, or do you see a measurable performance difference?
So I shot the Hades drill. Shot the Hades drill with it twice today. So I've shot the drill clean twice with the XC. But I've shot a whole bunch of 290s with it. Like with that XC, I can just walk out there and shoot a 290 something.
Which
Just walk out
is
there
really
and do
really
it.
good. I've only gotten 290s once.
Yeah.
Luckily, that was
when I
after the
asked
Hades class. That was the only time I did good.
when I asked Charlie about it, he said anything above 270 is good. Like there's not a passing on it. It's a diagnostics. There's no pass fail. Anything above 270 is good. I can shoot a 290 with the XC. You just walk out there and do it. With the Apex gun today, I shot a 290 and a 295. So like, you see that? Like that's the 295. 1 Charlie, 2 in the so bottom half of the A zone is -1. So a Charlie, and it's like 1 a little bit high and 2 a little bit low. It's doable with like shooting it clean is doable with the Apex gun.
Is it though?
It is. Yeah. Just buckle up. Yeah.
All right.
So I don't see a real huge difference between the two. I would favor the M&P, but for maintenance, like it's easier to clean.
So I got a question for y'all in the last to tie it all up, kind of frame it all up into some context here. So that what is it on on target azimuth. He used to be Nickest of Nicks. He puts out some scenarios and stuff sometimes. This last one that he did, this little think through thing is pretty decent. Collapse of civilization, little pockets of communities, tribes, if you will, right? And in your local area, some of these people are taking advantage of others. And they have a word for that in the English language. It's called marauders.
Marauding.
Yeah, they are marauding, and thus marauders. So they're killing people, taking whatever they want. They've got free access up and down the roads and in these areas, and eventually, they're probably going to get you too, or your group. And the only thing that's really making them super successful is that no one's challenging them, and people are like, "Well, can't beat them, join them." Well, no one's even challenged them yet. So, you and your group of friends are going out there to watch their patterns of life for a couple of days, and very likely, once you figure that out, going to fix the problem. And which guns are y'all taking? You taking an assault pistol? Because like at the end of it, you're probably going to end up doing the assault, or you taking a patrol pistol. John?
Okay, so I'm gonna start this with a short story. So when I first got into the night vision game, set up a night vision pistol, and at the time I was like, okay, end of the world, what's gonna be my pistol, right, for the end of the world? And at the time it was this. Okay, it's the Glock 45 with an Aimpoint Acro on it. And I had that all set up, and you told me that was crazy.
I did?
had a Staccato C. Yes,
Oh.
I had a Staccato C2. Why on earth would I not have that as my, like night vision gun? Meaning red dot and a Surefire Vampire on it, right? So it could hit IR. And I was like, oh, well, like Into the World, like patrol pistol. And you're like, that's crazy. You need to go with your best performing pistol. And I thought about it, like, you know what? Okay, that
Doesn't
makes
sound
sense. And then
like
I
me at
shot it.
all.
Well, you know what? That's what happened. And then so I started shooting my Staccato under nods, and that had a very specific feeling to it that felt very nice. And so I've been doing that ever since. And so for me to conduct the assault in which you're talking about, I would 100% go with the Staccato, and here's why. So in the situation that you're describing, right, that is what I think within the bounds of the capability of the gun. Like, can it make it through this assault? Yes, prior to additional maintenance. And why do we carry a pistol in those circumstances, right? Because it's a backup to our primary rifle. It's in case we have an issue with the rifle, we have a backup gun, right? So if something happens and I'm unable to continue the assault with my rifle, I have a pistol that the performance I think could really be squeezed out. Like, yeah, across the room doesn't matter, no, but like, hey, cover down this hallway in this giant warehouse while we're checking this room, right? Like, okay, that might be 25, 30, 35 yards. Some dude comes around that corner and you might need to shoot him with your backup gun, your pistol. And I know I would see that performance advantage in a situation like that, where it has to be a rifle replacement with that assault pistol, that Staccato. So that is what I would choose.
Remember, you'd be out there walking around, rolling around in the dirt a couple days before that too.
A couple days. It's
Put a
fine.
shower cap on it.
Someone did ask the question earlier. I think. See, gamer pistol, man, you got it. Yeah. And I'll scrub the mags out after every engagement. I think it was Calico Jim asked earlier how often we clean the pistols. I clean my Staccato about every 1,000 rounds, to answer that previous question. And I don't think I'll be shooting 1,000 rounds during this raid.
What are you taking, cuz?
I'd take the Procore Patrol pistol. I'd take the Apex M&P because you can't get mud between the hammer and the firing pin if there ain't no hammer.
That's
Yeah, but there's a lot of daylight between the slide and that frame. I think you can pack a lot of mud in there.
It won't even matter. Grand Thumb told me it won't matter. I would carry it in a heavily heat gunned Safariland ALS.
Now, I will say, I really, really wish that a Safariland with the hood, the 6360, I wish they made one that would fit the Staccato with the Acro, because I'm a huge fan of having that hood on there for that type of engagement. And that hood and the Cheeto guard on it, man, it keeps a lot of stuff out of the pistol. It really does. They really do work.
I agree. I agree. Everyone hates the 6360 style. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
it's all this
I don't know
retention
why.
and then it's so slow. It's really not that slow. Like,
Yeah, like when I was shooting Hades drill today, the M&P had the SLS hood, and on the timer, I mean, there's no difference.
yeah.
I mean, as long as you know what you're doing, like there's no difference.
And that's the thing. Like, everybody favors these friction fit Kydex,
Yeah, that
whatever
is
holsters.
crazy
Like,
to
that
me.
is not a good choice to
Yeah.
wear, like, with a dedicated belt setup, and I would not
Yeah,
recommend
I don't
Especially
even
when
feel good about
an ALS
yeah,
is
and
so
I
fast.
don't even feel good about just having the ALS. Like, I wish I had a hood on this thing. Yeah, that is crazy.
Um,
Oh, mud test
what are you gonna carry?
video. Well, I think we know what's going to win. I, 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 I concede on the single action pistol on the mud. Um, yeah, the trick is keeping it out, and having that SLS hood with the Cheeto guard keeps it out. So
Yeah.
yeah, only
Uh,
slow due to operator laziness. Yeah, I agree.
Hey, I've got one thing. Somebody asked me about this on Facebook before we started. Um, who would you, because people watch this, right? And they're like, oh, okay, so this is my priority of how to get a more performance out of my pistol. At what point do you tell people, yes, you should go upgrade versus no, you're not going to be able to get any benefit, right? So like somebody watching this, how do you know that we're talking to you? Specifically, not like an assaulter knows he needs an assault pistol, but like just like Instagram gun guy that's watching this, like how does he know when he should do those things? I've got an idea, but
Good.
yeah, I would say so. Like if you reference to like the EDC versus gamer analogy, if you are like a USPSA D class, like a low C class shooter, um, then a stock gun, you're not going to see the advantages from the other stuff. But aside from the red dot, like you'll see benefit from the dot, but a trigger, a barrel, a comp, it doesn't matter if your gun shoots 3-inch groups if you've got a 20-inch trigger press, right? So like there's
Yeah.
things that you need to master before you can take advantage of the upgrades. And then on the other end of that, if you are a competitive master class or above, I don't think it makes as big of a difference because you can mitigate the weaknesses of the stock gun. Like you're good enough to run the stock gun real good.
Yeah.
Now you can run the assaulter pistol better, but you can still run the stock gun really really good. I think once you get into like that the B A class level shooter, if you break into B class and go put an Apex trigger in your M&P, you are going to see improvement immediately. So like kind of that level of shooter, I think, which is, I mean, that's where 80% of Instagram gun people live is right there in the middle. That's where I would start doing it. But if you're brand new to them, don't go put a new trigger in your gun.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Or
Yeah, I would
just buy
say
this.
high B to M for sure. Which is going to be what, like 60%, 60% to probably about 60% to 85%.
Yeah, 85 is the top of, or no, 85 is breaking into M. So yeah, like that's the ranking within USPSA, but that probably encompasses 90% of shooters in
Yeah.
USPSA. Yeah, and it probably encompasses 99% of like gun owners.
Any closing comments, thoughts?
We didn't hear your answer for the raid pistol,
Oh,
Clay.
oh, dude, I'm gonna be rolling around putting mud all over my face like in Predator, so they don't get my heat signature. So I'm taking this one.
Really?
Yeah, I'll probably take
That's-
this one.
That is not surprising, but still disappointing.
Now, if it's like, hey, we go do the thing, we watch them get their patterns of life and figure out all their stuff, and then we're gonna go refit and then go do the hit like later, then it would be different. But the fact that we're doing all the stuff before that and then doing the hit there, so that's kind of why I framed it that way, to see what y'all would think. But if those two elements are separate, surveillance and recon, and then the assault element, if those are two separate, depending on which one I'm in, I want to be out there because of the environmental stuff mostly. I don't have to worry about if I draw this C2, is it gonna work when I need it the most. Yeah.
I think we do need to test and see exactly how much mud between the hammer and the firing pin is going to make it.
Well, since you have more staccatos than anyone I know, then we'll use yours.
That is fine. Yeah, it's a great idea.
I've only got a 4-pound recoil spring, so we can't do mine. I'm only good for one shot in the mud.
Well, your comp's going to be full of mud, so it won't even make it out the barrel.
Yeah, just blow up the barrel. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll be talking like this. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'll post this to YouTube Sunday. Knife giveaway is going down. If we can get to 400 followers, by then I'll include the Yeti Cup and all that stuff. I've got to post about it or whatever. If you want some awesome training, go check out Cornerstone Performance. If you want to learn about, I don't know, John, what is it that you do other than these?
What is it you would say that you do here?
John
I
is
told
our
you.
resident. He's our resident.
No, my primary contribution to this is my reckless spending, and that's why I can hold a staccato in each hand while we talk about this.
There we go. There we go. John's got all the good stuff. If you want to read at night about cool stuff, guys killing giant people and things, you can buy one of my books. Only one book so far. March 26th this year. March 26th. So
can you pre-order it? Can you pre-order it?
Go to my website, ChristopherClayAuthor.com. Need to class when I'm in town. Yeah, we'll get you all set up. No problemo. All right. I'll catch y'all later.
Okay.